I will start this little talk off with a little bit of chanting. So if you sit up straight, take a deep breath in. In alignment with the light of the soul today, I want to talk about the removal of pain and fear from the memories. Memories of this lifetime, memories of all your previous lifetimes, and the release, through doing that, of alchemical gold, of abundance in every area of your life, within and without. How do you get the gold? How do you release the alchemical gold? Well, first of all, you've got to follow the ancient myths, because from time immemorial, men have had to do this task of removing all the pain and fear from within. It's another vector than the intellectual vector. It's another vector than the intuitional vector. It's another vector than the emotional vector. It's another vector than the physical vector. And yet, the release of pain and fear from within is the release of all the toxins in the physical body, all the negative and destructive emotions, all of the negative thought forms from within the intellect, all the energy blockages which prevent the intuition, all of the energy blockages which prevent the flow of energy into your talent. Pain, trauma produces fear, and it is fear which is the mind killer. By releasing the trauma and fear from within, you're going to release gold, alchemical gold. How can you do that? I was mentioning from time immemorial that mankind has known about this possibility, this necessity, in order to become a complete human being. I think it was William Blake that was talking about, in one of his poems, the mind-forged manacles of fear. The mind-formed manacles of fear. And what he says is, you are locked into a dark place. You are locked into a prison with manacles around your wrists. The mind-forged manacles of fear. And when I looked at humanity at the age of 5 or 6, I saw that the major problem of all humanity was that of trauma, pain, and fear. And it became one of the aims of my very young life to do something to release the talent, the abundance, the gold from within. You need to get out of prison. You are locked in a soul prison, and you can't get out. You're so afraid of wearing the wrong clothes. You're so afraid of saying the wrong thing that you are trapped in a cube, a prison of political correctness, which will not allow you to speak the truth, because you're so afraid of the truth. You're so afraid of anybody telling you the truth, and you're so afraid of the consequences of telling the truth. And I've been listening to the talks of Jordan Peterson on Joe Rogan, and I thought to myself, wow, there is a guy, there is a hero who stands up and he tells the truth. And as a clinical psychologist, this guy has studied 40 years of psychology, 40 years of Jung, 40 years of myth, and from within, by using the techniques that he knows about, he has forged a courage and the ability to do the right thing, which is a very dangerous thing in this world. For anybody to tell the truth is to become a target. Jordan Peterson talks about the myths, the ancient myths that bring out the work, the internal work that is so necessary for a human being to blossom, to flower into that which he is, which is a soul-infused human being. A person who does not act from the physical, a person who is not controlled by negative and destructive emotions, a person that is not fooled by imaginary worlds of the intellect, a person who reaches outside of the box and into the first chakra above the head, called the soul where exists all your previous lifetimes, all the memories of your past lifetimes, the soul which is striving for control of its robot on this planet. The soul which wants you to access all of your talents, to become worthy of the energies of God. A person who has been tried, a person who has been tested, a person who has been forged in the fires of Mount Doom, a person who is a made man, a self-made man. And all of the myths from ancient times talked about by Tolkien, Beowulf, and Jung, about Perseus, and about the Hobbit, and Orodruin, the fires of Mount Doom, and the dragon Smaug, who lies on a mound of gold. And before you can get that gold, you got to kill the dragon of fear. The mind-forged manacles of fear is not just killing the dragon, which is not a nice thing to do. Killing, it's against the law. Murder is against the law. But to transmute that dragon, that demon of the ancient deep, the Balrog of Morgoth, it's not just killing the Balrog. It's not just killing Smaug the dragon. It's transmuting the Balrog, the demon, into an angel of talent, to purify that demon, which is the ability to do something, but because it's a demon in a very bad way, by transmuting that demon, by transmuting that dragon, you can create something beautiful, and you can release showers of that gold, internal and external gold, from within your inner being. You can access all your powers. You can transmute all your fear, and you can become that which you were born to be. You're born as a little seed, and within that seed is the genetic nature of the tree, of the great oak tree, which can shelter all of the animals and all of the human beings beneath its branches. And all it takes is 500 years for it to grow. But that genetic information, that seed, is within you. And all of the explosions of anger, and when that seed is compressed by a concrete block, and it cannot reach the sun, and it cannot reach the water, and that little seed becomes so violent that it tries to drill through the concrete block to get to the sunlight. And when it can't drill through the concrete, it explodes into revolution and the guillotine. Far better to transmute that concrete block, to learn the techniques of removing the trauma, the pain, and the fear within. And we talk about the ancient myths as having a meaning. Not a scientific meaning, but a meaning of that which you need to do in order to attain to your potential, to speed up your evolution so that you can attain that which you were born to be. That's incredible. And yet, these ancient myths, once you interpret them, they teach you that which you need to do in order to attain to your soul, to attain to the intuition whereby you know that which you need to do. When you have a purpose, when your life has meaning, when your life has significance, and every action on your part is aimed towards the benefit of yourself, your family, your city, your country, and the whole human race, because the whole human race is one. We're all different. We're all individuals. I'm not. We are all individuals. That's Monty Python, by the way. We are all individuals, says Brian. And there's a guy at the back jumping up and down going, I'm not. And all the rest of the crowd is going, we are all individuals. Well, we are all individuals. We all have the potential of being individuals. And it is only the fear and the pain which damp down the individualism into a political correctness which is dead as a concrete block. Another brick in the wall, said Pink Floyd, and they were absolutely right. So these myths are essential to understand what you need to do to attain to your potential. Not to lie in a darkened room watching television all day long and feeling that there is no purpose to your life. Purpose, meaning, significance comes when you attain to that internal and external spiritual energy, which is your birthright. If you haven't got it, you need to get it. And this is how. Understand the myths first. You need to understand the myths, and then you get it. Okay, so here's the first myth that I'm going to talk about this afternoon, and it's called the myth of Perseus and Medusa, the Gorgon. And the thing about Medusa was that she had this head, and it was covered all over with snakes. And when anybody looked at her face, they were frozen with terror, like a rabbit before the headlights, ready to be knocked down. People talk about the action of fear is fight or flight. No, the action of fear is to freeze you dead. Is to freeze you dead so that you can't move. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the mind killer. And when that Gorgon of fear looks at you, you freeze. And you can't move. What are the snakes? The snakes are the little dragons. And if you are not a moral man, as was Commodus in The Gladiator, the movie, which won all of those awards by Ridley Scott, and the father, Augustus, of Commodus, the young prince who would become emperor, he said, Commodus must not become emperor. Why? Because he is not a moral man. Now, Commodus had a brain the size of a planet. And yet, within him were dragons. Within him were snakes. And every person who has not attained to morality any person who has not attained to conscience, that still small voice which says, oh, you shouldn't want to do that. Anybody that has got a blocked heart, you know, Jesus Christ was I think he was one of the first people, perhaps the first person on this planet, 2,000 years ago, who said, you need to have a heart. You need to have the heart of Christ. You need to have a heart which wants to benefit everybody about you. Because cooperation leads to benefit for the whole of humanity. And this has been encapsulated in a mathematical proof by John Nash. Again, this is Russell Crowe in the movies. He did this movie called A Beautiful Mind about John Nash, the mathematician, who proved that cooperation was beneficial in every part of life. Not like Adam Smith from The Wealth of Nations, who said private vices lead to public benefit, which is a satanic statement. It's by a person who doesn't have a heart. And if you don't have a heart, you might think, I've got this big problem with all these Jews, said Hitler. And he woke up one morning and said, I've got the solution! And the solution was to burn and kill all the Jews. And anyone who had a heart, nice song, anyone who had a heart would take me in his arms and love me too. So rather than putting his arms around all the Jews and all the people in the world and loving them, he had this fantastic idea that it would be really good to kill and burn all the Jews. And this is what happens when, like Commodus, the evil emperor, you are not a moral person. And my explanation for why people are not moral, why people want to do horrible things to other people, it's because they don't have a heart. Because their heart has been broken so many times. Because their heart has become blocked. Because their heart has become frozen with the fear of Medusa. And not only that, they don't have a conscience. They don't have a connection with the energies of God. And that energy, higher than the intellect, which descends like the dove from the soul, it's that conscience, that higher heart, which descends from above into the crown chakra of one who is king, which says, you didn't ought to do that. You didn't ought to do that, Mr. Hitler. It wasn't a good thing to do. What are you doing? You're a moral idiot. And when anybody talks about a psychopath, they say a psychopath is a moral idiot. That's the definition of a psychopath. A person who does not know right from wrong. And how do we become frozen? How do we get our hearts frozen? How do we get our heart blocked with energy blockages? How do we get a block of ice above our heads which prevents the descent of the soul? How does that occur? It occurs through the Gorgon Medusa, the mind-filled manacles of fear, which locks you into the prison of your mind and does not allow you access to the energies of the sunlight, of the water, of the nutrition, to the energies of God. You are that seed. And if you remain locked in your prison, you cannot germinate to become that which you were born to be. You cannot attain to self-mastery. All you can attain to is shame and fear of the mob, of the world. You become a bad king. You become a bad emperor. You become like Commodus. You become like Crassus in Spartacus. You become afraid of anybody that can destroy your position in life. You are not all one, you are alone. You are locked off from humanity in a prison called fear. And this is the Medusa. And if you have a big intellect, if you are not a moral man, you have 50 snakes around your head. And if you are a person of meager intellect, you have 1 or 2. The only difference is in the amount of damage that you can do. So, that is the first thing. Trauma and pain create fear. And fear is the mind killer, and fear is that which locks off the heart and creates Hitler and Commodus and Crassus, who kills the Jews, who kills Spartacus, who kills everything that is against him. And what is the second myth of Perseus? It's when Perseus slays the dragon to release Andromeda, the princess. And what this myth is telling you is that you must slay the dragon within, the dragon of fear. The snake, the little snake, grows into a dragon, and it totally destroys you. And it's not just the pain and the trauma which produces the fear. It's the pain and the trauma and the shame of having done the wrong thing, the fear of doing the wrong thing, which creates the PTSD, which so destroys a man with an open heart who is guilty at having done the things that he has done in war, who has seen the horrible things that have happened in war, which so create the shame, which so creates the fear of doing that shame again, which so locks you off in that prison of fear. But once that dragon has been killed, which is one of the ways of doing it, but once that dragon has been transmuted, which is the yogic meditational way of doing it, then what is released is Andromeda. Because we know that when you have a lot of pain and trauma in this lifetime, then it tends to make you more violent. You know, the poor children that go into bad families and they get beaten up by everybody, eventually they turn into criminals. And the reason they turn into criminals, in particular violent criminals, is because they've been beaten up, because they have a lot of pain and trauma which locks them into their lives. And the myth of Andromeda and the dragon and Perseus is telling you that when you dissolve the pain and the trauma associated with your old memories, what is released is the feminine. The antidote to violence in your life, the antidote to violence in civilization, the antidote to everything which is wrong in our society. You know, when I was 5 or 6 and I saw that pain and trauma was the biggest problem facing the individual, the city, the country, and the world, I was not wrong. And all I've done over the last few years, 60 years, since I was 5, all I've done is to grow the evidence that proves that pain and fear are at the basis of all the problems of humanity. And if we can dissolve that pain and fear, which is what the myths say we need to do, then we have escaped from a prison into the life of the soul, of meaning, of purpose, of significance, which cures everything. And then we move on into the third myth. The third myth, which is the myth of the Hobbit. I just asked for a meme to be made for this today. It's a beautiful picture of Tolkien's Hobbit. And he's down in the depths of the mountain because all of these things occur in the deep unconscious. You know, Perseus had to go down into the cave of the Medusa and the Gorgon, and Bilbo Baggins had to go down into the cave of Khazad-dûm, where Smaug was lying on this great mountain of gold. Because in order to attain to the gold which is possible in your life, in order to attain to your inner talents and meaning and significance, in order to access the richness which can come into your life, you need to have a method of removing the dragon of fear from within, from the deep unconscious, to allow a renewal, a recapitulation of your life, which will evolve you past, far past the levels you've ever dreamed possible. To release the gold, to release the physical abundance of gold, you need to have a technique which can remove that fear. The fear of taking a step forwards in your life. The fear of reaching out to get hold of the gold. Hold on to the gold. Reach for the gold. Strive for the gold. Nintendo surgimus. We rise by striving. We need to do something if we are to remove that pain and fear in our lives. To release the gold. By releasing the pain and the fear in our lives, by transmuting the pain and fear in our lives, we also transmute something which is called karma. We also release karma. And karma says if you do something bad in one lifetime, in the next lifetime, something bad will happen to you. I think it was Newton that said that everything is equal and opposite. If you do something, you will get something equal and opposite coming towards it to cancel it out. It's called the law of karma. You do something bad, what goes around comes around, not necessarily in this lifetime, but it's going to happen to you eventually. And the more evolved you are, the more you know that when you do something, the more evolved, the quicker it comes back to you. The more evil you are, the slower it comes back to you. But karma is an immutable spiritual law which cannot be undone. By releasing the pain and the trauma from all the memories in this lifetime, you remove the karma, you remove the laws of karma. If you've done something and you have shame because you've done something, then you deserve what comes back to you. But if you dissolve that pain, if you dissolve that fear, if you dissolve that shame, there's no need for that karma to come back to you. And it says in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, karma can be transmuted. It's one of the laws of meditation. But how to do it? This is the thing. It says this is possible. It says the removal of pain and fear is possible from every memory. It says karma can be transmuted. It says things can change for you. You can do something which is going to change your life to attain to the gold. Get the gold. That's what you need. Get the gold. Transmute your karma. Because if you do not transmute the karma by means of meditation, if you do not learn the ancient techniques to transmute pain and fear and karma, then you are going to have to learn by means of the bad luck and trouble. I think it says in the blues songs, bad luck and trouble are my only friend. I was down before I was 10, born under a bad sign. I was down before I could walk. If I didn't have bad luck, I wouldn't have no luck at all. This is karma. If you can't get rid of that pain and fear within, in the unconscious, in the deep bowels of Mount Orodruin, if you cannot get rid of Smaug the dragon, if you can't cut off the head of Medusa, deep down in the bowels of the earth, then you are going to have to follow the normal laws of karma. And the ancient myth about karma is in alchemy, where it says, how do you purify impure gold? Well, he says you take the gold and you put it in the fire and you heat it up to 1,300 degrees centigrade, and you take the gold out and you put it on the anvil, and then you take a bloody big hammer and you beat the crap out of it. And that is normal karma. This is the normal lot of humanity. Because if you don't know how to transmute the pain, the fear, the shame, then bad luck and trouble are going to be your lot. And you're going to have that crap beaten out of you, because eventually that gold has got to shine. Sudacharan Ponpo said, Thiruvalava, the ancient sage of South India, the Tamil Siddhas, the alchemists, who said, the more you heat it, the more it shines. And what that means is, the more you heat up the gold, the more pure it becomes, and the more it shines. And what he's talking about is the aura, the radiance of one who has transmuted his negativity, who has been down into the depths of the soul, and who has transmuted the dragon of fear. All sorts of techniques to do this, but the higher techniques are the fastest. The higher techniques are the fastest. I was having this student, and her name was Amara Atma, and she was doing this yoga course with us. And she was doing this yoga course with us, and she was having difficulty with her bum. And she said, oh, don't talk to me about a bum, please. It's my sacral region. Oh, okay. It's your bum. She was having problems with it because it had a great big energy blockage in it, and she couldn't do anything with it. And the more she was doing the forward bend, the more it was paining her. She had a great big pain in the bum, and it was an energy blockage. And you know what she did? Well, I'll let her tell it. Here you are. Amara Atma. Tell us what you're doing, Amara. What happened this morning?
I've been doing the 7-step process on my sacrum area, the back of the sacrum area, which has been causing me a lot of problems. And I had an injury last summer, which may have been accumulation of blockages. But what happened is that I couldn't move, so I had to lay on the floor for about 2 weeks just to heal it, because any bending, any lifting was very, very painful. That was last summer. But since then, there's been a slight remainder of that pain and the blockage. So when I bent at a little angle, it used to be very painful. So whenever dealing with very big blockages or blockages which kind of immobilize you, as recommended by Sachi, if you time slam something for a significant amount of time, like you can, at least an hour, but the best is 2, maybe more, depending on your availability. By doing this kind of intense focus of spiritual energy onto the blockage in the 7-step process, you begin to shine the light of the soul onto this area, and then you weaken this blockage, and then this blockage becomes a little bit more clearer to you, a little bit less painful, and it begins to integrate back into the soul. So you begin to transmute it, as Sachi was explaining earlier. So I've been going through this process currently here at the ashram, and I'm at the stage where this morning I woke up, and I alternate my days at the moment because I'm learning yoga here, and I'm also obviously just absorbing good energies as well, and becoming a better person, or more soul-infused person, that is. And so this morning, it's a yoga day today. It's a yoga morning. I alternate. Usually I meditate or yoga. And so intuitively something told me to just meditate. You need to fill up with the energy of the soul, because the more energy you have, the more ability I find personally from experience and through knowledge as well, that you see things better, and everything just works better when you're grounding and you're focusing and just your everyday life. So I meditated for a short while, and then once I started to feel and consciously connect with the energy, with the soul, and align myself with the energies of the infinite above and the center of the earth, this inspired me, because that's what happens when you're aligned with your soul. You become inspired by the intuition to then do what's next, because I didn't plan any of this. So I just went in to do pranayama, and then when I did pranayama, I couldn't do pranayama, so I realized, okay, I think I need to do a bit of the yoga postures. So I just went to do one of the yoga postures which challenged me the most, which is the double leg posture, which is Paschimottanasana, and the Janusya asana, so that's single leg and double leg stretches. After I did this, I sat up in meditation, because I just felt the energy was clear, and then I started to absorb more energy from the soul. I was finding that it was easy to sit still, and it was easy to feel the energy coming through. And then from this I felt guided to then do some pranayama, and as I did the pranayama, my 2 nostrils were open. Usually my nostrils, one or the other, is closed and usually running, just blocked. And so both of my nostrils were clear, which generally when you're in the yogic terms, it's a sattvic kind of state, because your left and your right are quite balanced. And I did this quite clearly, and then after that I just felt more inspired to sit still again, to sit in the state of samadhi, where the energy is flowing through. And the stillness was so profound and so beautiful, and I felt I could go quite high, in the sense of the more clarity. And I just felt this wisdom, or this word, or this feeling, or this knowing come through, that God is everything. And it was a very peaceful thing, knowing that this energy of expansiveness is also translating itself through every single human being, and it's trying to penetrate all the details of the universe and the details of a human experience. And we're striving, and we're trying to actively to seek and find God in everything that we do. And I think this is what Sachi was saying, where you're striving to do that. And I think this is what I understood in the morning, that we're trying to find and connect and infuse God in everything that we do. And that's spiritually, mentally, emotionally. And so, it was quite a nice, profound, meaningful thing, which then I know it's changed the way I see everything going forward. So I just thought that experience would be good to share. And then after that brief meditation, I went to do a couple of more postures, and I found that I was choosing the postures which were the most difficult for me. Most difficult because I had that problem in the sacrum, and just generally because it's probably blockages in that area. So I went on to do the camel pose, and usually the camel pose I can't stay in there very long because of the pressure and stuff. But this time I was able to go very quietly and there's nothing in my mind as well, very stilly into that pose 3 times, and I found that I could go deeper, and I could even push myself a little bit more. And when I came out of it again, I felt in a state of meditative state of quietness, of samadhi, and I was able to sit there for a while. So yes, I think the combination of 7-stepping, time slamming, blockages, it's very resourceful. It's very important because it just helps with the alignment process, and also doing yoga poses as well helps you find blockages.
So, what I was trying to say in this short segment from Amara Atma was that the higher the techniques, the faster the progress. And they say that in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, yoga has 8 limbs. It's like a ladder that goes from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to the highest rung. And we start off with things like asana, and we move through pranayama, we move into meditation, and then we move into something which we call samyama. As we do that, we speed up the removal of blockages within the system because everything works. All these techniques work. But if you use something like asana, it can take 100 years to do something that takes a second in samyama. So we're talking about techniques and the speed that the technique gives you. And my action in this afternoon is to say to you that these myths tell you what you need to do in order to access your psychic powers, your psychic gold, the ability to do that which you need to do in your life, to attain to your potential, to transfigurate the seed into the tree, to become that which you were born to be. And when we're talking about Smog and the dragon, and we're talking about the one ring, the one ring is that thing that the devil offers to you and says, my boy, I'm going to give you all the gold, I'm going to give you all the women, I'm going to give you all the Rolls Royces, I'm going to give you all the palaces, I'm going to give you all the princesses. All you got to do is to take the ring. There you go. Just take it. Take the ring.
So, Sachi, you were saying that. So you said samyama, and so maybe you could expand a bit more on samyama and in relation to what you were talking about, transmuting the dragon. So how does samyama come into that?
Okay, I'm going to get into that because what am I here for today except to explain the techniques to people? The first formula of alchemy, because what we've been talking about with the Medusa, with Andromeda, and with the dragon Smog and the gold, is alchemy. Alchemy is the methodology of transmuting base metal into gold, of transmuting energy blockages, pain, trauma, and fear into gold. And for thousands of years, kings have been searching for the means of transmuting base metal into gold. For thousands of years. And yet, the first formula of alchemy is called vitriol. Vitriol is a bottom-up solution to the problem of pain and fear. Samyama and the 7-step process is a top-down solution to the problem of fear. And both of them work. And all of them work quickly. But what works more quickly is samyama. But first, let me go into a little bit about alchemical vitriol. Vitriol is a Latin acronym which gives you some idea of the age of the first formula of alchemy for transmuting pain and fear into spiritual gold, into releasing your potential. And the acronym goes Visita, that's the V of vitriol. Interiore, that's the I of vitriol. Terrae, that is the T of vitriol. Rectificando, that's the transmutation, to rectify, is the R of vitriol. Occultem lapidem, O and L of vitriol. The occultum lapidem is the hidden stone, or the philosopher's stone. It is in fact the secret of the philosopher's stone. Now, if you like, you can use asana to ease out your body. If you like, you can recapitulate your life and write thousands and thousands of words about every one of your experiences in this lifetime to release the fear. But in energy enhancement, we release that fear in a process which takes only a few minutes. And not only this lifetime, but all your previous lifetimes. And this is the concept, the Catholic concept of original sin. Because this is all the pain, the shame, the fear, the energy blockages which enter into you as a baby in the womb. It's original sin. And you can't get rid of that by recapitulating this lifetime alone. There is more to removing all of your karma. And it comes from, go to the center of the earth, and there, when you rectify the energy, you will attain the philosopher's stone. You will transmute all that base metal into gold. If you think that that one ring, that energy blockage, that thing which is going to change your life into pure evil, as happened to Gollum, what solution did Tolkien give to the transmutation of the ring? Why couldn't they just destroy the ring in normal daily life? Well, you saw Gimli with his axe. He went smash and the axe broke into pieces. This ring cannot be destroyed by ordinary processes, said the elf. Agent Smith, whatever he was, in The Lord of the Rings. Elrond, thank you. This ring cannot be destroyed by ordinary processes. It can only be destroyed in the depths of Mount Doom, the volcano, in the depths of the earth, in the center of the earth. Visita interiore terrae. Go into the center of the earth. Rectificando. There you can transmute the evil ring of pain and fear and of trauma. And there you will find the occultem lapidem, which transmutes base energy into gold. And further than vitriol, once you take that transmuted energy along the path of the soul, then you will have showers of gold entering into your life. It's a promise. It's an ancient technique. And we teach it here at Energy Enhancement. And it's the fastest, most perfect, most ancient, myth-filled process that you would ever wish to get. And it's quick. And it's cheap. And you can get it anytime you want. There you go. Jordan Peterson, I love you. Yeah, there was a question here. Can you talk about Jordan Peterson's voice? Well, I don't want to say anything bad about Jordan Peterson, because to me, he's a hero. He's been using the techniques and mythology to go deep into his unconscious with the truth, because this truth is another technique that works. He's been using these techniques, and you can see from what he is doing in the world that his techniques have worked. All techniques work. I'm just saying, here's another technique, it works faster and better because it's ancient and all the rest of it. But I don't want to say anything against Jordan Peterson, because to me he's a hero. All I'm doing in all of my talks, talking about Jordan Peterson, is to say, look, there's something here that works, and it works better. Please take advantage of it. Because all I want to do is to benefit you and everybody around you and the whole world. What else am I here for? Huh? So when somebody says, can you explain a little bit about Jordan Peterson's voice because everybody's interested in it, I'm saying the voice is a symptom of fear and pain and energy cords and connections. And Jordan, you haven't got rid of all of the pain and fear inside. I know you've done a lot. You've done great things. My God, fantastic. With the truth, you can get everywhere. But I'm saying that to clear up the voice, to clear up the pain, the trauma, the sin, the energy blockages within, the voice is a symptom of the soul. If you have a voice that sounds like Pepe the Frog, then know that you have not come to the end of your process. Simply that. All the chakras go in pairs. The heart chakra powers, the base chakra powers all the three head chakras. And if one of those chakras is out of alignment, then you don't get a proper connection between the two. The belly powers the throat. The abdomen is the place where all of the connections to your family go. And if you haven't cleaned out all of those connections to the family, the throat gets that throaty, sultry, Pepe the Frog feel to it. And then the other one is the heart is affected by the solar plexus. The solar plexus powers the heart. So if you've got any connections in there, then you won't have an open heart. The heart will not be powered and become the heart of Christ that wants to benefit the whole world. It wants to benefit all of its friends. It wants to benefit all of the people around it. It wants to benefit the family. It wants to benefit the city. It wants to benefit everything there. So as I was saying, the solar plexus powers the heart. And if there's any blockage there, either within the solar plexus or the heart is frozen. Nothing can happen. And it's frozen by the pain and the fear of the blockages in the solar plexus. And the throat is broken. It sounds horrible, by means of the pain, the fear, the trauma, the connections to bad people that go into the lower abdomen. And the base chakra, that's where Smog lives. And the base chakra is connected down into the center of the earth. There's an angel in the center of the earth, and there's a lot of power down there. This is what all the ancient myths are saying. And there can be many blockages between the base chakra and the center of the earth. And the blockages down there are what we call slave blockages. Slave blockages create the slave. They are the manacles around the legs and ankles. They prevent you keeping that step forward in life. They reduce your energy so that you can't do anything. All you can do is lie on the couch like a potato. All you can do is lie on the couch and watch TV and go drool into your beer. Yeah, do that, baby. But if you want to take the manacles off your legs, then you need to go and destroy that dragon. You need to transmute that dragon. That pain, that fear, that shame, that is a lot of every human being from all in this lifetime and all your previous lifetimes. And you need to have a good voice, Jordan. Yeah, please come and learn. I'd be very happy to teach you. So I'm continuing the lecture, the talk, the information that I was working on yesterday. This is a new day. And I remember that I was talking about the myth of the Hobbit and how Tolkien, a professor from Oxford University, whose work was the myths, the ancient myths, and he was talking in his story of the Hobbit about this little hobbit, Bilbo Baggins, going down into the centre of the earth, there to find the dragon Smaug. And when they were able to remove the dragon, when they were able to kill the dragon, what was released was the star of the Arkenstone and a torrent of gold, a mountain of gold, abundance, wealth, riches. Because this fear, this trauma, this pain which we keep inside are the mind-filled manacles of fear which keep us in our prison, which do not allow us to do that which we need to do in life. And I was talking yesterday about karma and how karma seems to test every human being. Karma, if I didn't have bad luck, I wouldn't have no luck at all. The ancient blues song from Eric Clapton. If I didn't have bad luck, I wouldn't have no luck at all. And it's the self-sabotage. It's the things that go against us all the time in life. And it seems like it can never stop. And Swami Satchidanand said the normal way of evolution, of normal humanity, is that of the anvil and the hammer. You are gold ore. And if you want to purify that gold, what you got to do is you got to heat up that gold, you got to put it on the anvil, and you've got to beat the crap out of it. And this is the lowest technique to overcome your karma. Newton said that action and reaction are equal and opposite. So when we do something bad, the reaction is that of karma. And it's an immutable law. It cannot be removed. And it is the teaching which teaches us not to do the bad thing. The path of goodness, the path of godness, is to always and in every way do the right and good thing. If you don't, the condign reaction to that, the well-deserved reaction to that, is karma. And yet, the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, I've written a commentary on the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, you can get it free from the website, says that karma can be changed, it can be transmuted. Do you want it the easy way? Or do you want it the hard way? Because the lower technique always takes much longer than the higher technique. The lower technique is always harder and takes longer than the higher technique. And God has given us a plethora, a ladder of techniques which enable us to speed up the process and get through the karma much more quickly than just action and reaction being equal and opposite. What we got to do is we need to learn the higher techniques. And there's nothing new under the sun. These techniques are ancient, well known, easy to apply, and enable us to get through the pain, the trauma, and all the things that come from that pain and trauma. For example, self-sabotage comes from that trauma. Solved. Evolution comes from the removal of trauma and pain and the grasping of the higher techniques, of the higher angels, moving into the evolution of the whole species of humanity. Negative, destructive emotions are the result of that trauma and pain which is locked inside. Removing that trauma and pain inside by higher techniques, easily, speedily, instead of the very slow techniques that have been given to us in the past. For example, you can write out every page of your life, 18,000 pages you can write, and you still won't get to the end of it. It's a slow but sure technique. It works. But the higher techniques, which we are teaching here at Energy Enhancement, they work quicker and they work more thoroughly. They get right to the bottom of all your pain and trauma. Depression, solved. Get rid of the trauma and pain. Bipolar disorder, move it out. Get rid of that trauma and pain. All that bipolar is gone and the creativity is yours. Violence comes from trauma and pain. So, yesterday, Amara Atma was talking about getting into a state of samadhi. And then the lower techniques of asana, the lower techniques of hatha yoga immediately became more easy. Sam, Adi, with the light. We're here talking about the Arkenstone that was there in the Hobbit. The Arkenstone is the central spiritual sun. We access a light brighter than 10,000 suns, which shines down upon us into our crown chakra. And it's that crown chakra that makes us king, because it absorbs the energy of God. It gives us all the energy we ever need. And we absorb that energy every night, in sleep, in dream. Without that sleep, without that dream, we cannot, with the lower technique, absorb the energy of God. I always asked why Swami Satchidanand only needed to sleep 4 hours a night. Same with Zen Master Hogan. And the reason was that they were permanently in a state of meditation, of samadhi. They didn't need to sleep. They didn't need the lower technique because they had the higher technique of samadhi. And when that samadhi comes, you get into it in a state of meditation. When that light shines brighter than 10,000 suns down upon you, and you're constantly with that light. Sam is with, Adi is light. When you're with that light, then everything just moves more speedily and better in your life. And we were talking about the ancient technique of alchemical vitriol. And you know it's an ancient technique because it's an acronym in Latin which says visita interiore terrae rectificando invenies occultum lapidem. I explained all that yesterday. It's important to know that this is a guided meditation, a technique of meditation which allows you to burn up, to dissolve, to transmute all the negative energy of pain and of trauma, and to release the spiritual gold which is inherent within you. It's a higher technique, and it is one that speeds up the process of karma 10 million times. You can get rid of all the karma from this lifetime in a very quick, speedy period. You don't have to go through it anymore, because the karma which is to come can be moved out. It says that in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. Patanjali knew about this 5,000 years ago. And we're just starting to use it now on this course of energy enhancement. Ancient techniques, starting to use them. And do you want it the hard way of karma, or do you want it the easy way of samadhi or of samyama? And samyama is an even higher technique than samadhi. And it's the whole of the 4th chapter of the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. Again, wrote a commentary on it. Sam with Yama, the god of death. By bringing your karma into alignment with samyama, you can easily dissolve it, easily transmute it, change your life, change everything within you to be that which you were born to be. Meaning, significance, purpose, path, revealed by the dissolution, the transmutation of base metal, all your energy blockages, all your trauma, into gold. The transmutation, the alchemical transmutation of base metal, clearing out the base chakra to access the spiritual gold from the higher chakras, to become a living fountain of light. This is enlightenment. Get it now while you can. Thank you.